episode number 20 of the Create Your Vibrant Life podcast. And in today's episode, this is another pop-up episode that's talking about the 5 skills to help your relationship thrive and flourish. And this skill was voted pretty much unanimously by most people in the group as something they wanted to learn. And this is all about effective communication, communicating in a way that your partner will listen. Guys, how many of you want that? Just be honest. I would say 100%. Who doesn't want that? If you're in a relationship, that's pretty much what everyone wants, right? I want to talk in a way that my partner can listen. Maybe you're not like, I want to talk, but you might be like, I want my partner to listen. But for your partner to listen, you have to talk effectively. You have to talk in an effective way without it being consumed by all your emotions or triggers and anything that's a barrier in connecting with your partner. So this episode is all about how to speak, like how do you learn to communicate to your partner so they will actually listen, especially when there is conflict, when there's discord, when there's disagreement, when there is when your partner doesn't get where you're coming from, or when you don't get where your partner is coming from. So without any delay, here is the episode on communicating effectively so your partner will listen. And please share your ahas, your breakthroughs, your insights via the social media channels and tag me, please, because I would love to know how this is impacting you, because I know this is impactful. What I'm providing, what I'm sharing with you is super impactful. So please share with me, and I will let you listen to this episode now. What's up, friends? Today is such an important and valuable training day. You're going to really find tons of value because what I'm going to share with you today, you can apply this to so many aspects of your life, not just with your intimate partner. It is about how to speak in a way that your partner will listen. Now, can you see how you can apply that to talking with your kids, with your boss, with your employees? Can you see how this can be applied everywhere? So this is a very important skill, and I am so excited to share that with you. But let me also ask you this. How has this training been so far? I know that you've gotten tons of value from these training series. I know that. Why? Because I've applied it to myself. This is how I got to where I am in my relationship. If you've not listened to my last podcast episode, you will see that I've shared some of these things with you of where my relationship with my husband was up and down and how we got to where we are today. It's because I've applied a lot of these things to myself. I had to do the work too. I'm kind of like you guys, I've had just a few steps ahead because of the training I've received in couples therapy and doing the work with countless couples. Like you learn these things. And I've internalized them, and that's what I want you to learn as well. But here is the sad truth. 80 to 90% of you will apply this for a few days, for a week, for 2 weeks. And then you're going to fall off the wagon. Or you're not. You probably will fall off the wagon. Some of you will continue because it's not you. First of all, it is not you. It's not of any fault of you. It is just how your brain is wired. This is how you've been programmed. As you can tell, right, from these training series, this is deeply ingrained in us. This is not something we have learned. So it takes time. It's like riding your bicycle, right? When you first learned to ride your bicycle, did you do it like this? No, you required help. You required training wheels. You required maybe you're one of your parents to run behind you holding the bicycle. It took some time because you have to rewire your brain to implement these things. It's because of habit. It's because of old programming. It's because of neuropsychology. This is how your brain is wired. And a lot goes on behind that. This is one of the reasons I'm also releasing a group program tomorrow on creating a vibrant romantic life. All the foundational pieces that will help you create a rock solid romantic life. And whether you qualify for that group program or not, we're going to talk about who qualifies for that group program. Today's training, you're going to find tons of value in it, and you can apply that in your life. All right. So stay tuned for tomorrow. Let's continue back with the programming, and let's talk about the final training part on effective communication, which is how to talk in a way that your partner will listen. So here's what, before I go on to that, before I show you how you can do that, here's what most couples do. Think about your own relationship, either your current one or past one if you're not in one right now. The first 6 months, everything is kind of hunky-dory, romantic, butterflies, you're excited to see each other, you're kind of kind, you kind of do all, you're in your best behavior, aren't you? Everyone does that. And there's a reason why after 6 months, things start to fail. There's a reason for that. Because the honeymoon phase is over. I'm not going to go into exactly why 6 months. There's research behind that. Like there's something happens around the 6 month mark. It starts to, all the other stuff starts to come out, which is not unusual. Now, why does the breakdown happen? The breakdown happens because expectations come out. Past life experience get intermingled with the current ones, both your life with your family of origin, things that you've learned, the kind of partner you've picked, everything gets mangled up more, I should say. Lack of effective communication, destructive patterns start emerging. And then once the pattern starts, it's kind of hard to break them. These are the few reasons why the breakdown starts to happen in a lot of relationships. Now, many couples are able to work through that and stay on, or within a couple of years, and like a lot of other things happen. You're busy at work, then you have kids. These things kind of get pushed aside till one day, one of you wakes up and goes, "What the heck happened to our life?" Right? You may not be exactly in that place, but some part of you is like, I want to make this better, which is why you're in this training. So here's where I'm going with all of this. If you want to create change in your life, in your romantic life, you have to change who you are being. The person who is right now watching and listening, and the ideas and dreams you have of your relationship, which is point B, you cannot get to point B with the person you are today. You need different skill sets. You need to be a different person, not just skills like what you're doing, but who you are being. That has to change. You can't get to point B from the person you are right now, right? So that is one of the key factors that needs to happen. So if that makes sense to you, or if you have questions about that, please put in the comments. I would love to know what your thoughts are about it. If something is coming up for you, or if you're like, I don't know what the heck you're talking about, share with me, because I want to elaborate. I want to clear that up with you. Now, communication is one aspect of how that bridge, right? Point A to point B, that bridge. Communication is one of the aspects of that effective communication. And under that, it's like you have to bridge that gap, you have to learn how to talk to your partner so they will listen to you. It's a skill. It's not something that you just do it. Like, you've done it, right? Why are there arguments? Because one of you is not listening clearly. One of you is not speaking clearly, that in a way that your partner can understand. Now think about it. If you're triggered, right? Your partner says something or does something and you're feeling annoyed, irritable, angry, frustrated, whatever that is. Now you're listening from that lens. It's like a whale between you and your partner. You can't hear them completely. It's like that example that I gave you, was it yesterday? Where, the first thing he says is there's not enough salt, right? That is, you're listening from, after that, the communication breakdown happens because you're listening from that whale. I know this is making sense to you. I know that, because when I saw these things come together, it made so much sense to me. Communication is one of those bridges, one bridge. So how do we get your partner to listen? Here's the thing. Are you ready? I'm going to talk about 4 things that's going to help your partner listen. How often, point number 1, how often, say your partner comes home from work or whatever, and you have been with the kids and you're like so tired and exhausted and you're like, I just want a break. And you like literally just spew something, frustration, whatever, at your partner about something they didn't do. How often have you done that? I have done it. All of us do it at some point or the other, right? That's immediately how do you think your partner is going to react? Or maybe you're on the receiving end of that, right? How are you going to react? Are you going to be like, oh yeah, like what you're saying is so true? You're going to get defensive. So the first step, not the first step, these are 4 points or 4 tips on how you can have your partner listen. Set up the table. What do I mean by that? We all cook, right? I'm not a cook. We all eat. Do you just bring the food and like dump it on the table? No, you set the table up. You bring out the table mats. You put the plates. You bring the dishes. You bring the utensils. You bring the cutlery. You bring everything, and then you sit down to eat. It's very much similar to that. You have to set the table before you spring something on your partner, especially things that are already triggersome in the relationship. Remember the patterns that we talked about day number 1? Yeah. So with those patterns, right? Like if you are not paying attention to the patterns and then you just dump things on your partner's not going to listen. So ask, is this a good time? Can we talk about this right now? I have something important I want to share with you. When can we speak? Setting the table. Tip number 2. This goes back to the first thing I talked about in today's video, going with no triggers. If you are triggered, if you are upset, you're going to listen from that whale of thing between you and your partner. You're not going to be able to listen to them clearly and effectively, and you're not going to be able to communicate effectively. So what can you do when you are triggered? Do some of the things I recommended, which is go inwards and like just ask, what is the trigger about? Why am I feeling this way? What parts of me are getting activated? How can I bring that to the table from a place of vulnerability? That, I know I'm speaking so fast, but these things are vital for you to make the shifts that you want. Can you see how important this is? Can you hear that? If you don't work on your triggers, the breakdown in communication is bound to happen. Yeah? Third tip. It goes very similar. It piggybacks on the second one. This is about understanding and changing your beliefs, understanding and dropping beliefs that no longer work for you. If you have a belief which is unconscious and underlying that I am not worthy of love, deep one for a lot of people, and they're not even aware of it. That's the biggest thing. I'm not worthy of love, which is why sometimes you find partners that treat you so poorly. It comes to self-love. You have a deep underlying belief of I am not worthy of love. What is going to happen? You're going to look at everything from that filter. And when you don't clear the energetic patterns between you and your partner, I'm not going to go into that too much right now, but that's something I will be talking about in the group program. I will be doing a whole leading people through releasing the cords between you and your partner and past partnerships, because those things all linger in your system. They play a role in your current relationship. So that's tip number 3, understanding and changing your beliefs. Number 4 is connected to number 3 and number 2, and that's all about setting boundaries. This is not something we've touched on at all in this entire training series, and there's a reason I haven't done that, because it's a big topic. But it connects to self-worth, it connects to setting boundaries. If your partner is not treating you well, it's because you've trained them to treat you in that particular way, and that comes back down to beliefs you have about yourself. Big words, big statements today. Yes, yes. But it is vital you get these pieces, right? That's the bad news, that you've trained them to treat you in that particular way. The good news is because you've trained them to treat you in that particular way, you just have to train them to treat you in a different way. Yeah, you can train them to treat you in a different way. For example, if you are used to being the giver in the relationship where you give, and then you suddenly are like, nope, I'm not giving anymore. I need to fill my cup up first. The people in your life are going to be like, I don't know how to relate to you. Who are you? I don't know what to do with you. Starting with your partner and your kids are going to do that. They're going to get more. They'll try to get you to move back into the old patterns of living and being. Won't work. There's going to be a backlash. But if your foundation of your relationship is good, more chances of that to work will happen. But if it's not good, then there's more you'll have to do to start to shift that in your relationship. And if your partner still does not respond positively, it's time to evaluate, is this relationship working for you? Are you getting what you need to get from this relationship? Yeah? Makes sense? I'm sure it makes sense. I'm sure you're getting tons of value from this, what I've shared here. So let's recap. For your partner to listen to effectively, you need to implement the following things. These are the 4 tips. Setting up the table. Don't just dump things on them. Make sure it's a good time, that they will listen to you. Going in with no triggers, like keeping yourself clear, like a clear vessel, so you can be open in communication. Understanding and changing your beliefs and clearing energetic patterns between the two of you. Boundaries is the 4th one. So today's homework. Share with us one thing you're going to think about or even do, and that you're going to start implementing today. Okay? Simple. Just start to see what needs to shift. If you want to get to point B of where you want your relationship to be, what is one thing you can start to think about or shift within you? And that concludes our 5 skill training series. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to be revealing the group program. So stay tuned, what it's all about, how it can benefit you, and why you will benefit from it. And I will also be revealing the winner from today's today's training in that video tomorrow. And I'm here to answer your questions. I will be on live tonight. So please post your questions. Ask me whatever you need to ask me. Remember, like, I am here. You have full access to me. Ask me questions. I'm here for you. All right, my friends, have a beautiful day, and I can't wait to hear more from you about the breakthroughs you're having. Share with them. Share them in the group. All right, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to this podcast. Make sure to tag me on Instagram at Padma Ali to share your takeaways from this episode. And lastly, share with your friends and family so they can also benefit from listening to this podcast. For more tips, go on to our website, padmaali.com, and connect with me at the next episode. Take care. Bye.